part of forgiveness is just saying, Lord, I trust you with that person. I don't know enough to be God. I don't know enough to deal with that person righteously. So I'm just going to give them to you, and I trust you. Unforgiveness is saying, I don't trust you. Listen, I love this statement. Bitterness is a justice spirit that will not go forward until it gets what it demands. And you ruin your life because you won't trust God. That's what bitterness is. Okay. So let me say, here's another thing. How do you forgive? Bless the person you haven't forgiven and pray for them until you're healed and free. So Luke 6:27-28. I say to you, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who spitefully use you. Okay. So we read that scripture, Luke chapter 6. Bless those who curse you, pray for those who spitefully use you. So, it sounds okay, that's good. But the actual practice of it is disgusting. It's just disgusting. So, I'm not a hater. I've never been a hater, but there have been 2 or 3 people I just hated, in my life. And when I became pastor in a church in Amarillo, I was 28 years old. I'd been in business, and the pastor of the church left. They asked me to take over the church. It was a 1,000-member church. I had no experience, never been to seminary or anything, and I took over this church. Well, the people were sweet to me, most of them. But there was a guy in the church that didn't like me and didn't want me to be the pastor of the church. And he actively campaigned against me being the pastor of the church. Well, I was afraid. I was full of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear, fill in the blank. I was full of fear. And I wanted to be the pastor, and it excited me at the thought of being the pastor. But I was not qualified, didn't have any experience. I was struggling to answer questions and stuff. Well, this guy's campaigning against me all the time this is going on. Well, I hated him. I just got to where and he would sit, I would be preaching, and he would sit in a prominent place in the middle of the sanctuary and go to sleep during my sermon. And let everybody know, this guy's boring, get rid of it. And so I had a little dungeon in my heart, and I drug him down in there about 10 times a day and beat up on him. I just tortured him. I waited to see his obituary in color with multiple pictures. And that I hated the man's guts. I despised that man. And Karen said to me one day, your personality is changing. And I could feel oppression. I could feel mentally and emotionally like a heaviness on me, And she said, your personality is changing, Jimmy. And you're snapping at me, you're snapping at the kids. You need to deal with this deal. So I went in one day and I was praying, and I said, and I was just saying, Lord, remember Ananias and Sapphira? Kill this guy. I'm 2 funerals away from victory. So the Lord said, I want you to bless him. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not blessing this guy. He doesn't deserve it. I deserve it. This guy doesn't deserve it. The Lord said, no, I want you to bless him. The Lord never says, Jimmy, you're right. I've waited for it, but it's never happened. But I want you to bless him. I said, no, I'm not blessing him. The Lord said, yeah, you're going to bless him. Well, I did it, but I did it like this. I had my fingers crossed. Okay, bless him. The Lord said, no, you pray for him like you pray for you. You pray for his business, you pray for his marriage, you pray for his family, just the way you pray for yourself. It was disgusting to me. I just thought, what if you bless him, Lord? Now I'm mad at you. I don't want to bless this guy. And I did it out of obedience, and I did it, and the Lord said, every day you wake up and you bless that man and his family. And I was like, oh gosh, this is awful. So about 10 days after doing it, and I was doing it out of obedience. I didn't do it out of desire or anything like that. I just did it out of obedience. About 10 days into it, I woke up one day and I said, well, bless this guy, and bless his wife, and bless his children, and all that. Well, as I was blessing him, I saw a picture in my heart of a little boy about 10 years old standing out in a field. It was like a farm or a ranch. There was a house over here, and this little boy was standing out in the field, and something really bad had just happened to him, like abuse. And he was like in shock. And I saw this little boy, and the Lord said, now that little boy is the man you hate. And you see him for what he did to you. I see him for what was done to him. And instantly, I felt compassion for him and never had anger again. Blessing is the medicine. And blessing. Forces forgiveness out of your head into your heart. You cannot hate a person you're blessing for very long. And a lot of people say, I keep forgiving them, I just can't get over it. I just can't get over it. Well, the point is this, because we won't bless. Jesus said, bless those who curse you, pray for those who spitefully use you. So as I'm praying, it proves to God, this isn't a head thing I'm doing. So my Father will do to you if each of you does not forgive your brother from your heart.